There's Rocksteady finishing off the record, King of the Pit TV. I had just listened to Speak English or Die, in particular the 30th anniversary version by the band SOD, the Stormtroopers of Death. I assume it's remastered, given it's not only the 30th anniversary, but we've also bypassed like a 2000 rendition where they put on the two tracks we finished off with. I mean, what do I do? Where do I start with this? Instrumentally, it's ridiculous. It is a record for the moshers. You know what I mean? There's no deep thoughts to be provoked whilst listening to this record. It's just pure, insane riffage. The drummer is wild. I know nothing about this band's members as of so far. What we're gonna do is listen, have a run through the Wikipedia page afterwards, right, and see what we can find out. But yeah, I'm more than impressed. Lyrically speaking, conceptually, I don't really know what they were trying to go for on this record until I have a look into the history of this record. I think they're going out of the way to be edgy, but of course there is always truth in jest, so I can't like jokingly, you know what I mean, just come out with a load of racist slurs, because I have still said what I've said and I've still found humour in what I've said, whereas I've not been considerate of others. So I guess you have to take it with a pinch of salt, and I know that's gonna annoy some people. You know what I mean? If anything, I really don't care, to be honest. As far as offending people and other people offending people, it's not my life. I'm not bothered. But as I said, there may be a little bit of, reality to some jokes that are spoken. I don't like novelty music, and a lot of it does come across as novelty. That puts a bad taste in my mouth. I'd hate to go to the studio, spend as much as these dudes evidently have, because the production's wild, and make a joke of it, especially as a creative artist. It's creative, yeah, but as far as speaking your truth from your soul, that's a bit debatable. So it's not necessarily purely organic, it's a little bit fluffed up. Where do I go from here? This was put out in 85. That's something I just clocked onto as of recent, and this is way ahead of its time in my opinion. The sound to me is like something of the 90s. Sounds proper 90s to me. The branding of the band, the production of the band, but then again, it probably remastered 10 times over at this point at the 30th anniversary stage. Conceptually, the way they were, cracking jokes at whatever they were cracking jokes at, it seems like it was a little more later on than, the mid 80s. At least from what I've heard, you know what I mean? I've not heard every band from any time, but I can't place them like any other bands in that particular period who were sounding as cool as this, at least instrumentally. Vocally, so, you know what I mean? The guy's vocals are alright. It sounds a little bit like Tom Araya at parts, in my opinion. Plenty of good riffs. I mean, you can only play thrash metal riffs so many times, at least just like riffing on the open E string and then throwing in a couple of power chords here and there and this and that without it sort of sounding just like, oh, it's a thrash riff. But a couple of the stompers, the mid-paced ones, that's what makes the band in my opinion, you know what I mean? They're the proper ignorant crossover thrash riffs I love. So that's good. A lot of hardcore in here, and when I say a lot of hardcore, verging on a lot of fastcore, power violence-y sort of stuff. And you tell me, I don't even know when power violence started coming around. Power was 90s, innit? For the most part. I mean, there's Precursor in the 80s, but this sounds, you know what I mean? There's a couple of tracks on here that I'd hear down at my local venue at a power violence night. You know what I mean? Some proper cool stuff, especially on that tune Go. But then again, it was a 2000s edition, them two songs, so I don't know when they were recorded. And other than that, it's alright, you know what I mean? I'm pleased with it for the most part, instrumentally speaking. Lyrically, a little more maturity would do me, but I'm not going to complain. There's an edgy value to it, obviously, and I think it doesn't speak or manifest itself any clearer than on the tune, if I can call it a tune, the Ballad of Jimi Hendrix. It was just a bold declaration that they were trying to be edgy, and it's just a bit sad, really. But that's my opinion. I don't like novelty music, and without further ado, I'm going to sign out. From what I remember, my favourite tunes, I liked United Forces. I think Freddy Krueger was a pretty cool tune. I like that one. Pussy Whipped was quite fun. And yeah, I'll leave that one there. If I'm going to rate this record, yeah, if we were to take the lyrical content away, I would give it a and reformatted the songs. I don't like the 4 or the 3, like, just, you know what I mean, novelty 5-second songs at the end. If we were to reformat the track listing, I'd probably give this a nice clean 6.5 out of 10, to be fair with you. As far as crossover is concerned, because crossover for the most part is pretty poor. You know what I mean? It's over and done within 10 minutes, if that, and it's just errs more on the punk side, and the punk side of things isn't very clean, you know what I mean? This is a very metal record, which is awesome. So I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. If we were to include the concept and the lyrical value and like the edginess, I'm going to actually detract that and give it a 5 out of 10. If not a 4 out of 10, to be honest with you. And that's that. So if you want to hold on tight, people, what I'm going to do is check out the Wikipedia page next to clue myself up on the history of that. Now I've sort of gone in blind and listened to that. And we're going to learn a little bit about this record and the early era of SOD. So hold on tight, I'll be back.